Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So, anytime I try to make these really thorough, awesome videos with proper, informative speech directly with the du'as, with the content, and I'm making that, my whole entire YouTube app shuts down. Okay, so if it's something really, really good and has content in there, I tell you this when I'm not saying this, I'm not kidding. My YouTube app shuts down on its own. That is something absolutely dangerous. And it doesn't happen to me on the phone that I'm utilizing right now. I haven't seen that happen on this phone, to be honest. I don't think it has so far. But it happens to me on the other one. The Samsung. It's very interesting. And Astaghfirullah, it's kind of interesting if you. It's an Android, right? Um, it's a little interesting because there's a something very silly I came across. Uh, Not to get you off topic, but something very, very silly I came across. The Simpsons, and how one of the things in The Simpsons is that the androids are not allowed anymore, in terms of futuristically, like after some sort of point of something. Like, it just seems to be like androids are dangerous. They're computers. That's exactly what they are, though. They're like mini computers. Um, I won an award from NASA with growing up with three others. I think we were on a project board, and we you know, Mr. Dennis is our coordinator, our teacher at that time. So I'd like to shift over the portion of the credit where I deserve, majorly to Mr. Dennis, my computer teacher, and to the rest of the kids that were on the project at that time. And we created what was, a project which we sent off to NASA, and we showed them that, sooner or later we would have the computers, in our, like, basically we drew them a PDA, and that's basically a computer in the phone. And based on that, like, even before it even came out to the public, because I'm pretty sure it was already probably available secretly, obviously, predating to the movies and the military and all these other things that are out there, these agencies. But it was not in the thought process of the public, well, majority at that time, right? Who's to know whose mind it could be on? But um, it wasn't available to the public at that time, and it was only until much later on that something like this had even come out in the market. So it doesn't matter. But the point is, uh, we conjured up the idea that soon we're going to be having these massive computers in the palm of our hands, which, back then we would call a personal PDA. I think it was personal device. A standing for, I don't even remember what it was. But and then after that, that's why we had received the award from NASA, because of that, because we showed them that, this is what we would like to have created. um and we got awarded for that anyhow. But it was inevitable because it came to the market anyways, in the open. So what I do understand is that this Android is a personalized miniature computer program, you want to call it uh, a system. Okay, so this system, I'm trying to understand this so I can give you the correct ideology behind what I'm trying to say to you. It almost seems as if this Android system, computer system, is going to be abolished at some point, according to The Simpsons, in the future. Okay, in the future. So this computer system, miniature computer system, this Android system will not be available, and they wouldn't even want it. You know, they don't even want it for some reason, for whatever is going to occur out there. Like, you probably can't even, according to that one Simpsons thing that I seen, you can't even walk into a store, you know, no Android users. That's basically what it is. Now, it could also be because the Android is more controllable. Okay, something pops off. Don't want to make it sci-fi, but it seems like my Android seems to be, you know, glitching, seems to be acting up anytime there are prayers, or there are, it was always through, I just realized that it was always through majority of the videos that I was making, that some sort of thing was going on with it, in terms of like very unusual behavior, extreme unusual behavior. And it was through the Samsungs, it was through the Androids, and I didn't see that same type of behaviorism through my iPhone products. And I would have thought that the iPhone products would be the first ones that I needed to worry about. Obviously, you know, iPhone, the job, you know, I. And who's to say that you don't, you know, just trash them all, you know, just go back to, you know, Stone Age and just sit there and read and do good deeds. It's fine too, right? But I noticed more problems overall with my Androids than with the iPhones. Now, I don't know what's the significance between the two or this conversation, but anytime I try to make a video with anything pertaining to the Android system, it automatically shuts down. That's a problem. Anybody's watched Terminator? Yeah. Getting there. Slovakia, getting there. Slowly but surely, astaghfirullah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not hasten our time. We don't know what we are asking for to be hastened. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instead give us sabr and lighten our hearts to for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pity us for the lack of knowledge, for the lack of obedience, for the lack of understanding. And may we continue to make dua for the dunya and for what it is tolerating, for our shaitaniyat, astaghfirullah, our sins that we constantly keep committing onto ourselves and causing transgression onto animals, onto the, you know, rest of humanity. The zulm that we keep, you know, the zulm of keeping the planet untidy, you know, dirty, these things. The other animals, I mean, I could just go on and on. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Now, Injeel, Quran. The Quran is complete. It is also the perfected word. If you don't read the Injil and you have only read the Quran, will you be condemned for this? Will you be responsible for it? Will you be in trouble for it? Will you get persecuted for it? No. Because Rabbil Alameen says this is the perfected word. And once this is come into effect, this is it. This is all you truly need. Because it is what is it explained in fully detail for you. Where? In the manner that we have understood it to be as in Arabic, as you are studying word for word. That's the manner it's been explained fully in detail for you with. Also, another example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to go on and say, and the best of all examples has been set forth for you as well. So, are you going to be ostracized if you only have ilm and knowledge of the Quran and you only follow that, but you believe in the books before? No, you will not be ostracized. Oh. And on top of that, it says Al-Quran al-Hakim. Al-Quran al-Hakim. For you, this book is sufficient. So, for me, I look at it as this is a criterion. If you delve into this book, the Kalam of Allah, the perfected word, the final book, you'll get 100. 100% marks. If you're reading this Al-Kitab, if you are following the guidelines in it, this is what you need to pass the exam. 100%. That's it. 100% of the information that you have in this Quran is all the information that you required in the test of this dunya. But do you want to know something? For those whom question, not question, but forbid you, and they ostracize and crucify, and God knows what these terms are. I do know what these terms are, but they turn you away entirely and tell you something that is not said by Allah Jalla wa. And they'll go on to say things of this sort. There are Christians that are out there that will tell people, don't read the Quran. It is the most sought out after book. Astaghfirullah. That the sorcerers themselves are so highly inclined to want to read. It is forbidden. Don't even touch it, Don't even open it. Why? Because it's a magnificent, holy, glorious Quran. Glory is only with Allah, and glorified and exalted is only He. So obviously His words would be glorified. His book contains His word. So they don't want them to come to this book. And the same goes for the Muslimin, they do not want you to continue to seek knowledge, for you to understand, for you to, perhaps so it might be that you will understand a little bit more when you're seeking. What does that mean? Ibrahim alayhi salam understood a little bit more. Instead of just saying flat out, Ahad, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ahad, he understood a little bit more when he worshipped, astaghfirullah, the sun. When he worshipped the sun, or when he understood the sun, it's only then when he thought, can't say only then, but it's then when he had thought, wow, no, Rabb cannot be the sun. The sun is created, and the sun disappears when darkness comes. So now it's not just saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. It's believing it with the understanding and conviction why Allah is ahad. Not just saying he is ahad, but beautifully believing in it without doubt and full conviction in your heart, in your mind. Okay. So it's not just saying it, but as absolutely having no doubt and believing in it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the most beautiful thing I have learned in the inspired word that was given unto the disciples of Isa alayhi salam, Yeshua HaMashiach, peace be upon him too, and peace be upon the disciples, those whom had not or have not gone astray. So, the most beautiful thing I have learned from the inspired word in the injeel of Rabbil Alameen is in Gospel of Isaiah. Do not trust any man, for man speaks out of their nostrils. The term, the verse, flat out says it so clear, so mubin. Do not trust any man. No one. And it was only when I came across this verse that as I gradually also came across chapter 9, verse number 31, something of that sort. Forbid me if it's 31 or 35, but it's in chapter 9. It's in Surah At-Tawbah, where it talks about the scholars, the imams, and the God-fearing people. And I was like, wow, you really can't trust nobody then. I mean, if you can't trust the best of the crop entirely, right, you still have to question them. It means that you cannot trust no man overall. You have to have a cause for filtering, censoring everything that everybody says, because majority of it could all be good and dandy, but they could also have a portion of what they have understood coming from their own, which could thus even be incorrect. And that incorrection could even come upon you. So now you know something which is incorrect, and also you've understood it to be incorrect, and you're also distributing the same incorrect message onto others. So with that being said, how dangerous is this? I'll tell you, inshallah, how dangerous this is. The injeel. If you only read the Quran, you've understood it, and you follow it, you have no doubt in the books that came before that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given, no doubt. And upon you, as long as you're doing everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, it's fully explained the detail, you're fine, you're perfect, 100% mark. But those who read will also read it in the Quran and take this Quran and confirm the injeel with it, the Gospels with it. And go on to the ones, if you do not know that, study the scriptures. Or ask those. You don't have to go on, but ask those whom study the scriptures. The people of the book, right? Also the Christians. Christians study the book. They are known to study the scriptures in the dunya. Also the closest that are supposed to be nearest, and you will find nearest to you, the Christians. But be careful, because there is censorship and also filtration amongst all people, the Muslimin, the Christians, anything of any sect of group that they have divided themselves amongst in the beliefs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the one true God, or God. Be careful, because we rather, instead of identifying the person as a Muslimin or a Christian or as a Jew or a Sabian or any of that sort, we should start to identify these people with the humanly characteristics mentioned in the Quran. Are they a believer? Are they a disbeliever? Are they a munafiqun? Are they a hypocrite? Are they a polytheist? These are the things that we should start identifying the people on, because a believer will continue to believe no matter what denomination they have come from. So even if they were a Christian, they have already submitted before, and they don't have a problem to submit again. So thus qualifying them as a believer in the way of Allah. But now if we start to identify them in the manner that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had shown us in the mannerism of munafiqun or hypocrites, you will start to see the people, even within your own denominations, astaghfirullah. I'm not saying sect within Islam or sect within Muslim, because Muslims are not supposed to have any sect. Neither should the Christians, neither should those that came before. We're all to stand united, holding steadfast, tightly to the ropes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His message. You're either on the party of the devil, astaghfirullah, tawbah astaghfirullah, and a'udhu billah, or you're on the party of Rabbil Alameen. Which side are you on? Do you want to be on God's side, or do you want to be in opposition to Him? So His way or the highway to hell? Which one? So with this being said, start to identify people with humanly attributes mentioned in the Quran, and you will start to see people who are detering you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's clear message, sound minded instructions for you. When you start to see who is taking themselves onto a God without knowing it, unknowingly or knowingly, and you unknowingly even taking them on for minor shirk, unknowingly taking on a person and believing everything that they are telling you and trusting in them. For Alhamdulillah, my Rabb al-Alameen had allowed me to see this one verse in the Gospel of Isaiah. I guess it stopped again at some point, not too sure. But can you just imagine taking answers from someone in class who doesn't have majority of the answers, but you're taking the answers off of them? So they're probably going to get 40 on their test, and you're probably going to get 20 because one, you're taking their answers, and two, you don't have the rest of the information. At least they're going to have 40% marks. And that's the example of Iblis. He's got that 40% mark. He set him up, he set himself up to fail. But you're taking on to the answers from Iblis. Now you're going to get 20%. You're going to get 20%. Why? Because he set himself up to fail. And you didn't pay attention. You didn't listen to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's instruction. And you pretty much wanted to be a part of the gang. I look at it as like, the majority of the dunya, want to be this part of this gang, the cool ones, like in those movies, like the jocks. Instead of all the kids are just paying attention in class and they're just doing whatever the teacher is telling them to do, you just want to be a part of that gang, that dodo brain kid that's usually the leader of the group. So unfortunately, our dodo brain leader of the group example would, in the group, the one that didn't listen, the one that's usually the troublemaker, right? And you have all of his minions. Yeah, that's majority of the dunya. Little minions, right? Astaghfirullah. So with that being said, it is majority of the dunya, of the scholars of the world, the minions, gang, that's telling the rest of the class, hey, the Quran, no, you don't even need to read this book. It's like the most sought out after book in the magic world. Most sought out book by those who practice Wiccan witchcraft. I don't know when it keeps disconnecting, so I don't know when it gets cut off. And as I keep sharing with you, I don't know when. I really truly don't know. But the so the Quran is said to be something silly by those people get absolutely angry. And the same is said. See, it keeps disconnecting me here too. So I guess it's just, unfortunately, it's just my channel because they're watching me. So so with that being said, no, but I meant the truth about the Android and everything that I gave to you prior to. That's there. Go check The Simpsons if you don't believe. It's just I happen to catch that understanding of it. But okay. So anyhow, let me quickly try to wrap this up. Maybe sometimes it's also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like, okay, hurry up, get to the point. So now the Injeel, okay, it's people that are casting the doubt to the Christians regarding the Quran. Because remember, they already received the knowledge. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about people who received the knowledge? And once they receive the knowledge, what happens to them? They become arrogant. They become wanting to stick to their own what? You could say ideology, their own understandings. That's it. Like it's just, that's what arrogance. And they'll tell you what they think in terms of the Quran, and they'll tell people not to read it. And the same thing will go and happen and occur for the Injeel, and they'll tell you not to read it. Who is saying this? It's not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who's telling you don't read the book. No. It's your scholars, your imams, and your God fearing people that are telling you not to read the book. Matter of fact, the most beautiful thing that can ever happen is that you do read the book and you have much more conviction, like Ibrahim alayhi salam did in his heart, not just to say it, but absolutely believe in it as the message of the truth without the doubt, without asking for wisdom and asking for the truth. What will happen to a person who will go to, suppose, say, from the Quran to the Injil? They are the ones that will receive the, not 100% marks, inshallah, 105, the extra credit, the extra understanding, the extra belief, inshallah, the extra conviction, extra. How? Because they will have an increased amount of need happened. So You will only be misguided if you have perversity in your hearts. And the same goes for the Quran. If you so people say logic to and it kept cutting off. Okay, so continuing forth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rabbal Alameen. What He does is, inshallah, He increases your knowledge as long as you're seeking obedience to Him. So if you're doing it for the purposes of praise and show off and hypocrisy and munafiqun, the multitudes of things that human beings, doing it either because you're doing it because Allah asked you to do it, in obedience to Him, in fear, and all of these amazing, qualities about attributes about Rabbil Alameen. Or you're doing it for yourself. Following the way of Allah, you're following. Even if you'll be calling that the way of the opposer, opposing to the sunnati of Allah, astaghfirullah, it's still your way because you chose to oppose. With that being said, to read the injeel is not something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you cannot do, but rather it is the people who tell you that you cannot, should not do that. To read the Quran is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had forbid you from within the injeel. Matter of fact, it also says that Isa had much to tell us, but the one that will be bringing the truth will convey that onto us, right? So it is beneficial and not even the ounce of a mustard seed account. So what will be the one who will reap blessings for effort? Blessings, inshallah, shall one if they are. With this being said, the alhamdulillah, Allah allowing for my eyes to be opened and coming back to the injeel and then back and forth from that had given me unbelievable understanding and logic and conviction as to what was truly going on. So what you do is, son of man 200 and something times, you know that that's the truth. But if you see son of God, astaghfirullah, na'uzubillah, here's that. Using the criterion where Allah tells you that's where they went wrong. But for everything else, there is beauty and beauty and beauty. And what quail was. It's like, oh wow. Or you would understand what a beast is. You will understand it and it will be logical to you. Because that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. His deen are for a people of logic and understanding. Okay. So you're not forbidden to read the Quran, neither the Injeel. So Muslimin, you're not forbidden from the Injeel, and Christians, you're not forbidden from the Quran. It is the people that are dividing you and spreading that amongst yourselves. Because if you come closer to His word, it will unify you with the same message. It will lead you to the truth. That's where all of us should be inclined towards going and towards. Okay. So with this, I leave you, inshallah, hoping that you will receive knowledge that will be to your benefit in your akhirah and in this dunya. Salaam alaikum.